This question is arguably one of the easier questions from the paper that I've taken it from. This is the type of question that you hope you get at least one like this in your exam. Prioritising health and safety issues. You've decided to form a health and safety committee to help improve health and safety at the organisation. Based on the scenario only, identify 10 health and safety issues that the committee should prioritise at their first meeting. Now, with this, what you can do is actually look at the other questions that are in the paper. If I put those up here, in this paper, question 1 deals with legal compliance. Negative health and safety culture is covered in question 2. Question 3, health and safety improvements. Health and safety monitoring in question 4. Question 6 is all about training. Question 7 is emergency procedures. Question 8 is health and safety targets and objectives. So if NEBOSH has decided that an issue in the scenario is significant enough to create a question around, then it stands to reason you'll probably get a mark for identifying it as an issue that warrants discussion at a health and safety committee. So make sure that your list of at least 10 issues covers all of those at a minimum. You're almost guaranteed, I think, to get a mark if you can adequately cover each of those, because like I said, NEBOSH has decided to base a question around it, so there must be relevance there. But beyond that, I don't think this is something that you need to overcomplicate. Just go through the scenario if you're still looking for ideas and identify things. Examples: following a serious and well-publicised accident, you've been newly recruited as a health and safety advisor. So there's been a serious and well-publicised accident. I know it sounds a bit obvious, but you'd want to discuss that, wouldn't you, at the health and safety committee that's been newly set up following the accident. So the fact that there's been a serious accident, how are we going to prevent further accidents from happening? And then basically just carry on reading through it. Directors don't believe that health and safety is a full-time job, so management commitment, big issue. No budget for health and safety, that would need to be discussed. No one to raise specific issues with, so communication and consultation is a problem. Health and safety training is an issue. Moving on to the next page. Safety documentation is a problem. Looking stressed, so mental health. Risk assessments being out of date. They don't keep a record of accidents and near misses. Accidents and near misses frequently occur, so methods of reducing their frequency need to be discussed. Inspection and maintenance, documentation. Machines are quite old. And then it goes on. Maintenance engineer only work day shift, so they haven't got the expertise where they need it. Issues around supervision. The fact that they were kind of removing side panels without really knowing how to, so there's a lack of procedures, a lack of safe systems of work. They're unable to get the attention of their colleagues, so again it comes down to communication, a lack of permit to work systems, no one taking charge of the situation, a lack of emergency procedures. There's loads there. So I'm not going to make this video too long. I don't think there's a particular technique that you need to kind of fall back on. This is one of those ones where you can literally just read the scenario, pull out what issues you think are worthy of being discussed. Don't worry about your word count or writing too much. Just put as many issues, if you can think of 20 issues, put them all in. Just remember, it's a good habit to get into. Always avoid just lists. Don't just put 1 or 2 words per issue. Just write a sentence, maybe 2, just to kind of outline, why you've raised that as a concern. So you can just definitely show that you're linking it back to the scenario. Perhaps one thing I will mention is that what I've noticed with a lot of answers that come back is there's just not a broad enough range of issues. Everything tends to be focused very heavily around the negative health and safety culture and the fact that the directors are not very committed, which is true. I mean, that does need to be in there, but there's not going to be, for example, half the marks available just for health and safety culture and the lack of leadership being demonstrated. You need to make sure that you're throwing the net nice and wide, as it were, and making sure you're covering a very wide, broad range of issues to ensure that you get the maximum marks available.